What is up, everyone? Happy Fantasy Friday today. Boom, Warbreaker, my damaged copy from dropping it, trying to do a nice thumbnail where I'm holding up all the books and this was on top and I drop it and I don't even know how well you can see it, but it bent weirdly. Also, I always forget to introduce myself, but my name is Gregory LaPerche, and I always feel like I sound like a nerd, like I sound like a news anchor from 1975. I'm Gregory LaPerche, this is the news. And I'm totally fine with being a nerd, just not that kind of nerd. I want to be a book nerd or a board game nerd or a video game nerd, any other type of nerd other than straight up news anchor nerd. This is a weird tangent. Anyway, Warbreaker, what do I think? So, if you guys have watched this channel for any amount of time, you know I'm a huge Sanderson fan. I've rated his Mistborn Era 1 books 5 stars, Elantris 5 stars, and Way of King 5 stars, and I'm reading the rest of Stormlight right now. So I'm basically a Sanderson shill. Sanderson shill. That's difficult to say. Yeah, so this has definitely been my least favorite Sanderson book, but, the bar was set pretty high, rating all those other ones 5 stars. And this book I still love. I'd give it a 4 or 4.5 stars, I think. And I would recommend it. But where does this book fall short? Let's talk about the characters first. So there's 4 perspectives. The first perspective you get is Vasher, who is a very mysterious person. And I actually do like Vasher quite a bit, even though you don't really know his motives, his goals, where he came from, who he is, who he's aligned with. You don't know anything for quite some time when following around Vasher. Then you get Ciri and Vivenna. Ciri and Vivenna are sisters, and one of them goes to marry the God King as part of an arranged marriage treaty sort of situation to try to not go to war. And the other sister actually follows along against the wishes of their father to try to be in the city and help her sister in any way she can. And then the third character is Lightsong, who is not the God King himself, but he's a different god within the court of gods in the God King city. Lightsong is by far the funniest character Sanderson has written, I think. I love Lightsong. He basically is a god who doesn't believe in his own religion. What a great concept. And it leads for some funny things and just funny interactions. His main priest, Laramar, is fairly straightforward religious. And Lightsong's always where did I come from before I was a god? Because the gods were all people first, but they lose their memories. And Laramar's I can't tell you. And it's oh, come on. And Lightsong's just kind of a troll like that. He knows Laramar can't tell him those sorts of things, but he always asks anyway. But he's always drinking wine and stuff, and I'm I need to be drunk to see this. And Laramar's you can't get drunk, you're a god. And he's don't ruin the fun, Laramar. Come on, Laramar. And it's just a ton of funny interactions. Laramar's your friend, when you want to go in the woods and just have a bonfire or whatever, drink a few beers. Laramar's the friend that's whose property is this? Is this trespass? Come on, Laramar. Am I advocating for trespassing on this channel now? I don't even know what I'm doing. So yeah, Lightsong, definitely the favorite. I will say a trend with these Sanderson characters in Warbreaker is they aren't super straightforward, even from their own perspective, which frustrated me a bit. Lightsong didn't express his plans before he did them. Even basic things oh, I trust this person, or oh, I don't trust this person. You kind of have to infer from how he's acting sometimes, and I don't know. He the characters could have been a bit more direct. And one of the sisters, Vivenna, seemed very inconsistent to me, at least, because of this. Her motives were all over the place. I think Vivenna's probably the worst main character Sanderson has written, in my opinion, obviously. I was more okay with the mystery behind Vasher, because Vasher, wouldn't talk to people too often. So there wasn't like that sort of outlet for him to like tell the secrets behind his mystery. And he's like a mysterious person, so it like fit with his character. I think Ciri was probably like the most straightforward, and that's kind of why I think she was kind of like a breath of fresh air. Magic system. Let's talk about this. So, of course, Sanderson, great magic system. I loved it. However, I feel like it could have been explained more clearly earlier on. I think like 3/4 of the book through, there's like kind of like an explicit interaction talking about the magic system. I feel like that could have been, like in the first third, maybe. And it's not like we didn't get any information about the magic system earlier on. We did, and we got to learn about it and stuff, but I would have preferred that more explicit, hey, this is what's going on, happened earlier on. But that's a little nitpicky. Overall, magic system, great. I think that same magic system criticism that I just had for Warbreaker could have been applied to Elantris as well. But for me, Elantris is a little different because the magic was used a lot less in Elantris, early in Elantris, compared to like Warbreaker, so it was less relevant. And I'll just explain the magic system a little bit just to see if it sounds interesting to you, if you haven't read the book. Basically, everyone has one breath. You can live without your breath, but your breath is like kind of like your soul, we can say. Oh, and the gods need to like feed on people's breaths, like one breath a week. So there's like offerings to the gods. And the breath kind of like gives you more senses. You can see color more vividly. You can hear things better. And like do other things too, which you'll learn about throughout the book. Oh, and basically the God King is the God King because he has a lot of breaths. Also, what fell a little bit more flat for me in Warbreaker than compared to like the other Sanderson books is the world was not quite as on point, I don't think. I liked the world, and I think if you aren't like as into epic fantasy, the world in Warbreaker, totally fine. It's very good. It's well done. But I would have preferred the world to be a bit more fleshed out, and I could have had like a few more unique things within this book that interested me. Like obviously the world in this won't be as fleshed out as like something that's like way thicker, right? Like Way of Kings. But like compare this to Elantris. Elantris had some very like unique concepts, like money literally equals wealth. So like the king of the city near Elantris is literally the person who's the most rich, because like obviously money equals power in basically any world, including like the real life. The real life, that's I worded that so funnily. But yeah, that was interesting to me. There wasn't like something in this book that was just like simply world building that I'm like, oh, this is interesting. What this book does super well, I must say, the plot twist. Oh man, you'd never know who to trust. Your heart will be broken. Your heart will be repaired. It will then be broken again. Like sometimes in books, there's this character that you're like, oh, this, like, they're bad. I don't trust them at all. Blah, blah, blah. But then it turns out, oh, they're like a good guy. They were being like one of the few people that was being genuine the whole time. And it's like, what? I did not see that coming. And I think Sanderson does that pretty well in all of his books, but this is where the sort of like plot twists and like all the, Sanderson avalanche at the end, that's where this book does pretty well. But yeah, that's my review. Happy Fantasy Friday. Like, comment, subscribe. Join my Discord. I also talked about this in the Shelf Space Discord where I gave many hot takes and opinions. And yeah, definitely new fantasy videos every Friday and just other videos, sometimes fantasy, sometimes not fantasy, throughout the week, sometimes on the weekend. I don't know. I don't have a specific schedule except for videos on Friday. Fantasy Friday. Oh, and I'm starting an Instagram because I hit 100 subs on YouTube, which I haven't acknowledged yet, but thank you. Thank you for subscribing. This is great. And yeah, my Bookstagram, I'll try to actually make it tonight so I can like link it in the description. That seems like a smart thing to do. And I've been procrastinating making this Instagram for like weeks. So yeah, I'm going to do it tonight. And yeah, thank you all for watching. See you next Friday.